Hey everybody, welcome back to AED Live. It's Brian and Rick again, and now we have our guest here is Jason Harris. Give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah,
You've
man.
got a fascinating background.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Some would say it's slightly interesting.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
What I like to tell people is that, I'm originally from Oakland, California. I'm number 2 of my mother's 6 kids, product of 3 marriages, 4 fathers, and she got us out of Oakland, California by joining the Army. And then, long story short, I ended up going to the Air Force Academy, flying C-130s, flying special operations around the world. 11 combat deployments, 2,000 combat hours, and about 470 combat sorties. So that's kind of the short and skinny of my story, I guess.
Yeah. And so now what do you primarily focus on?
So I focus on, as a speaker, as a consultant, speaker, trainer, coach, I focus on leadership and trust from my background as a military pilot, as a military officer. But I also continue to fly airplanes in the military as well as an airline pilot.
Gotcha. And so what was your role here at AED?
Yeah, so I was the lead-off keynote speaker this morning, getting the session started right before conduct started, and spent about 60 minutes on stage talking to people about no-fail trust. Trust the training, trust the process, trust the people.
Dive into that just a little bit. Kind of give us a little taste of what your speech was about.
Yeah, man, so basically when you look at organizations, the most preferred organizations, when they've done the studies, the most preferred organizations, their number one trait is trust. And then when they also did more studies and they talked about the high trust organizations versus low trust organizations, the biggest thing is that the profitability is higher, as much as 300% higher for a high trust organization versus a low trust organization. And then when you look around this Connex, right, you look at this floor, you look at all the dealers, all the people that are out here, the number one thing people want to do is deliver on their organization's brand promise. And you do that by starting with an organization that's built on commitment, accountability, and trust. And that's effectively what we're talking about with no-fail trust on the stage.
Excellent. Excellent. Rick, you got any questions?
Now, when you're talking to those people and you're making contact and you're actually touching them to the heart, what drives you to talk to these people as you're giving this leadership and you're giving this conversation out there as your motivational speaking? What drives you and what fuels the fire to get these messages out, and why is it so important these days to you?
Yeah, man, I appreciate that question, Rick. At the end of the day, right, you guys are in the industry of moving dirt. You guys are pushing heavy equipment around. What I tell people is I'm a heavy equipment operator. I'm nothing more than a taxi driver.
Yeah.
But beyond what it is that we actually do physically, what we have in our organizations is the same thing, which is people. Like, people are far more valuable than any of this equipment that's out here on the floor, any of this equipment that's in the industry.
Absolutely.
It's the people that help to make the equipment operate and that move the dirt around, right?
Sure.
And so for me, what gets me going, what gets me excited, it's the people. How do I set up, create an environment to help people to take care of their people? Can I say something that's going to add value to make you go out there in your organization and treat your people better, treat your people with value like they should be, respect them? Oftentimes you'll run into somebody, I'm sure you guys have experienced this, and maybe you guys have said this yourself for what you guys do in the industry. Somebody might say, oh, I'm just a Bobcat driver, or I'm just a tractor operator, or I'm
Sure.
just this. No, you do something amazing, right? Like, that one tractor, that one Bobcat, it might move a couple of mounds of dirt today, but without that one Bobcat driver, without moving those couple of mounds of dirt, we can't get the highways that we need. We can't get the new infrastructure that we need within our country.
Yeah.
So you ain't just a Bobcat driver. You ain't just whatever you put it in. You're far more than that. And when we're talking about leadership, when we're talking about taking care of people, how do you bring out the best in those people? How do you get them to understand what their value is?
Yeah.
And get them to be the best that they possibly can be for whatever job that is that they do in this industry?
So as dirt guys, that's actually a really interesting, just a whole topic of conversation is when you talk about the dirt industry, the construction industry, there is not a lot of emphasis on the individuals. There's not a lot of, let me bring out the best in you as an employee. And instead it's looked at as, you kind of grind through people and they're just a resource. And so I think that's a fantastic topic of conversation for the actual construction industry to start having.
Yeah, I think, when we're looking at, again, we look at this equipment, right? And so on that stage, when I talk about my signature story, it's about this loadmaster. It's that person in the back. They're 17, 18, 19 years old, fresh out of high school. They have no college degree or anything like that, but we trust them with more than 80% of that C-130 aircraft.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
So imagine, man, I mean, you wouldn't trust a 17, 18, 19-year-old fresh out of high school with your car,
Sure.
your book of business,
Sure.
much less 80% of
We're
millions
going
of
up
dollars.
in that air, baby. This is all new.
Bam, let's go, right?
He's got the driver's license. You're flying with me.
Right? And but we have this way that we give them the right training. So we trust the training that we give them, right? And then from the training, then we provide them processes, checklists, standard operating procedures, things like that. And we invest in them so that we can trust them when the fit hits the shan and it gets crazy.
Yeah.
Like if they don't do their job strapping down the equipment, I mean, dude, some of this equipment that's on this floor, I've had loadmasters strap it down in an airplane.
Yeah.
I've had some loadmasters, they put it on a pallet, they strap it down, and we kick it out the back of a C-130.
Yeah.
Can you imagine at 18 years old, somebody says, hey, Rick, I want you to strap down this piece of machinery that costs millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it
we're
can kill
gonna throw
somebody.
it right
Yeah,
out
we're
the
going
back.
to throw it out the back.
Just open the back door, kick
Yep.
it out, dude, no big deal.
Just to caliper where you're at in your life and how you've progressed so far, it is amazing for the audience and you guys that are listening at home, even if you're just getting into the industry, to understand a caliper that somebody recognizes you, right with the congressman to somebody that's been in the military and still actively flying planes, that even coming in as an entry level, you put a value on somebody that they're not valuing their self or their time and their self of purpose. There's no drive to it, so they don't know it coming in. But when they walk in and they talk to somebody like you and you place a value on them, that's like escalating. And they need to understand it and grasp the concept, because not only are you just talking and motivating, you're telling the truth.
Absolutely.
And that's what's setting it apart right here.
Well, and what I was going to say is one of the things that kind of comes to mind as you were talking is people will rise to the bar that you set for them. And if you set a low bar, people only rise to that bar.
Dude, you are so right, Ryan. Like, all too often what happens is again, we go back to that just mindset. And people say, well, I'm just this or I'm just that. And we fail to go, wait a minute, no. This is what your job is, but you have more value than this title.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you enough training. I'm going to give you the right training. And I'm going to give you and show you what your value is so that I can empower you to go out here and be far more than just this operator.
Sure.
Because I know if I unleash your brilliance by empowering you, you're gonna come up with something innovative that hasn't been done before. You're gonna do something that's gonna make us better. You're gonna do something that's gonna change how we operate in this industry.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when's the last time some major innovations have happened?
Right.
And who's responsible for those innovations?
Yeah.
And if we aren't motivating these young people, right? We're talking about the workforce. We're talking about workforce development. We're talking about the shortage and the turnover and all this stuff. Well, how do you attract these young people? They have a lot more at their fingertips than we did when we were younger. But we're forgetting that we got to tap into something different.
Yeah.
And if you don't tap into what their value is and understand that they are more than that operator and understand that they are more valuable than that equipment, we can't put a price tag on someone's life.
Sure.
No.
We put price tags on equipment, but we don't, and then we have, of course, and here's the funny thing, right? We put price tags on equipment, and then we put like servicing agreements on equipment. We say, okay, you got to service it every 100 hours, every so many hours, right? Do we ever do that with people?
No.
We don't. The thing is human nature, it's come to the point we're good at only selling debt, good debt and bad debt, but we don't sell value to somebody. Of if you're operating as a well-oiled machine as a human being, you're going to thrive in the industry that you're doing, whether you're at the labor or you're just getting into the market or you're at the top. Put in quality of life and investing in your employees in a whole in the industry is so, I think, overlooked. But I think really it's kind of like the pendulum now. It's kind of coming back together going, well, we're losing the workforce here. How do we get them back? Well, you start valuing the people that you have and the people that are coming into the industry and not overlook it.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, Rick, when you talk about how do you get them back interested, it's you got to go even deeper than that, right? It's about the culture.
Yes.
If we in our organizations don't create the right culture, right? Again, I don't care if you're quote unquote just moving dirt. I don't care what the job is. I don't care what the organization is. You've got to create culture that attracts people to that job. People often say, oh, people don't leave bad jobs, they leave bad bosses. I agree with that, but at the same time, I disagree with that. At the end of the day, everyone is responsible for the culture that we create in the workplace.
Yes.
And if you aren't contributing to a culture that's built on commitment, accountability, and trust, then that means you're detracting from it. You certainly aren't adding to it. And that's why people are leaving, right?
Yeah.
And and of course we know, right? we have these discussions all the time where it's like, well, so-and-so left the job because they could make $1.25 more over here doing this, $1.25 more an hour, $2 an hour, $5 an hour. But there's also stories that we rarely talk about where somebody was like, no, I appreciate you offering me $5 more an hour, but I don't want to go to your crappy environment because the culture sucks.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I got a boss who values me over here.
Bingo.
Absolutely.
My boss empowers me to innovate. My boss empowers me to make things happen. They train me well. They gave me the right process and support. So I go out here on the job site, I do whatever it takes, and I work with the foreman, I work with whoever that crew position is, and I make magic happen, pun intended, we're at Disney, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And you empower this young person to make magic happen.
I'm going to get him some Mickey Mouse ears.
Dude, hey, brother, I'm ready. Let's do it, right?
He is on it, man.
But if you don't empower people to make magic happen, they aren't going to stick around.
Absolutely.
100% agree.
Because you both have been in jobs where you probably weren't valued. Somebody treated you like crap, right? They treated you like the dirt that you're moving.
Yep.
Yes.
If you treat people like the dirt that they're moving, they're going to move out like the dirt that they're moving.
Absolutely.
They ain't sticking around, bro.
Absolutely.
Now, when you talk about this and valuing people and creating this culture, at what age do you think is America industry, not as the gentlemen are in the 20s, 30s, and they're coming into the industry and they're here, what age do we need to start actually looking at to get people excited and mold this culture that we're talking about? Is it like middle school, around 10, 12 years old? Like when do we start saying, hey, let's not quit, let's kind of slow down promoting just the college and the debt and say you could really make a phenomenal career and not be that guy on the side of the road that everyone, like Brian has the story of. He used to be the guy when they would drive by in a rainstorm, he's out breaking concrete, they'd be like, you see that guy,
that's why you
kids?
stay in school.
That's why you stay in school.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. And he's pulling down $85,000 in 7 months. How do we create that culture, and how do we go about this at a younger age instead of the cart before the horse kind of concept? Like, when do we catch that horse and get it in line with our cart to go?
And that's a great question, Rick. I think it starts early, man. I think it starts at a young age, right? Like, people bring kids to go see airplanes because they're cool. Like, dude, I'm looking at these machines. These are cool.
Absolutely.
What program is out here to show kids about these machines, right? We have cartoons. My daughter saw cartoons, and she knew about some of the cartoons with the heavy machinery and stuff.
Blippy, man.
Exactly, right? Like, there's Blippy, there's another cartoon. I can't remember the name of the freaking cartoon for the life of me right now. But literally, she understood what one of these road graders was because of this cartoon. But we don't go any further than that. And
Correct.
of course, like you said, we have bastardized what college is.
Yep.
No offense to college. I have a couple of degrees or a few degrees, but that's irrelevant, right? Technically, I can do my job flying jets without a college degree.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Right? And so again, now we're getting to the point where people are recognizing you don't have to have a degree, but now we got to figure out how do we back off what we've said.
Yeah.
So I think what has to happen, you asked that question, Rick, is at what point it starts early. We have to expose children, we have to expose young people, and we have to tell them about what's possible, and we have to put a dollar figure to it. People understand success by numbers and excitement, right? Like a lot of, I don't know about you, but I like to party.
Absolutely.
So when I talk to young people about flying airplanes and being in this industry, I'm not telling them about like the book stuff. I'm telling them about, do you want to make a lot of money?
Yeah.
You want to go party around the world? You want to have a good time?
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting to attract them. And the same thing with this industry, right? Dude, you want to make a lot of money and you want to move dirt around?
You get to drive big machines.
Right.
You get to destroy
who
things.
love it, man. They turn a kid when they get in one of these. They turn like a toddler.
Dude,
smiles ear to ear.
Trust me, I'm tempted to jump in one of these big rigs and start acting like I'm driving. But
Come up to Michigan. We'll hook you up.
yeah,
We'll hook you up.
And so again, I think ultimately to your question, Rick, man, is we aren't putting kids in these freaking machines.
Yep.
Yes.
We aren't showing them how cool this is. We are like you said, we've allowed the narrative to say, oh, you see that guy? Meanwhile, what you don't realize, that guy is happier than a hog and poo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because he's making money. He's outside. He's not constrained to a freaking desk.
Yep.
You know, he's enjoying life. He's
You're
making
playing on
good
Tonka
money.
toys all day.
Dude.
And that's really, kind of a real indicator of how much we fail as a country on this front is we actually have the kids. Everybody had Tonkas growing up. Everybody loves Blippy.
Dude, I
But-
used to ride in the dump truck.
Absolutely.
You know, the big old Tonka truck with the wheels.
But
yeah.
somewhere along the way, the conversation turns to, oh, well, that's what you do if you can't make it in college.
But see, we
Hold
got
up, dude. I got
selling
real quick, Rick.
dollars, man. It was dollars.
Yeah.
Real quick, Rick, I got to pause you and ask a question both you guys, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
How terrible of a kid were you? Did you actually destroy that Tonka truck?
You know what? It
We
actually
used
made
it.
It actually made it to the rust bucket stage.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. All right.
you know,
Absolutely. We don't destroy it. We
were moving
run it.
cat shit with it still when I was quit done playing with it, right? So we wore that bitch out.
Rolled that damn thing to the wheel.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, Jason, you say you fly planes.
I do, yeah.
Do you got a story that just sticks out that you would just like shit your pants laughing? Is there something?
Oh,
that just,
shit your pants laughing?
Yeah.
Oh, hell, dude. Dude, you talk to a pilot, you want a shit story. It's all about shit stories. Oh, man. All right. God, you guys got me. All right,
Come on, bring it on.
All right, I'm going to tell you this one because you just dudes and me
Now,
dirt,
just
so y'all
for
get
you
it.
guys watching, he is a motivational speaker and he's fumbling right now, so no pressure.
No, I'm not fumbling at all because I know exactly what I'm about to say. And somebody's going to laugh. You know, the shit's about to hit the fan.
We just got to buy some time for him to get it out.
As opposed to the fit hitting the shin. All right, so you said it laughed, like, you laughed your ass off. All right, so flying along the C-130 one day, man, and so we have these restricted areas you can't fly through because of because they're doing other stuff inside of restricted areas, right? You know, you got firing off rockets and missiles and guns.
Well, I was
and
about to
shit like
say,
that.
generally the restricted areas are because of you guys.
Well, right, most of them. But this time, right, we're kind of operating around a restricted area, and so effectively, if you got to go back because you have an emergency, you got to go back the long way. Unless you have a real no shit emergency,
Yeah.
pun intended, you'll get it in a minute. Then you get clearance to fly through the restricted area. So we're out flying one day, and you know, in the back of our airplane, we have the load masters, those young kids in the back that manage everything in the back of the airplane. The one load, when you drop in loads out the back, you have two of them. And so the one load master, we had dropped our load that day on the target. The load master calls up. He says, "Hey, pilot, we got an emergency." Dude, what's going on? Hey, man, we got an issue with the other load master. Dude, tell me what the hell's going on. Yeah, his fart shit separator disconnected, and shit's going everywhere. So it's like, dude, wait a minute, his fart shit separator disconnected? Yeah, it did. All right, so he's like, what do you want me to do? Dude, you got duct tape back there, don't you? Yes. Duct tape his damn pants legs so shit doesn't get over the rest of the airplane. So we immediately proceeded to declare an emergency, and we immediately proceeded to hightail it back across the restricted area.
So you flew across the restricted area so a guy could go take a dump.
Oh, no, he had already taken a dump, so we can get the shitty part off the airplane.
Yeah, that is a shitty situation.
It's a pretty shitty day, to say the least.
Well, Jason, I appreciate you being on. This has been a blast.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much,
Absolutely.
fellas. I appreciate
Jason,
it.
thank you for serving and doing what you do and getting out the message of being the motivational speaker.
Hey, I appreciate you
your
guys,
time.
what you guys do, because understand, and I mean this with everything, you guys are important. What you guys do is important, and make sure your folks know that and that they never forget that no matter what their job is, everyone has value.
Yeah.
And they need to recognize that and understand what their value is and give it every single thing that they got. And those that are leading them need to understand that every person has value, and you need to make certain you take care of them, creating a culture that's built on commitment, accountability, and trust.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
You heard it, guys, live right from Jason Harris.
That's it.
We'll catch you soon.
Yeah,
Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thanks for following along. Be sure and hit that subscribe button below the video and hit the bell notification so that when we go live throughout the day and tomorrow, you'll get a notification. And we'll catch you guys here in a bit.
Thanks, guys.